If this is what you sometimes call breakfast, remember one thing. You are what you eat.
They say you are what you eat.
You are what you eat.
Because you are what you eat.
You are what you eat. You see, you are what you eat from your head down to your feet. Things like meat and eggs and fish you need to build up muscle tissue. Uh-oh.
You are what you eat.
I grew up hearing that phrase a lot, often tossed around to mimic some commonly agreed upon wisdom, even if tainted with a faint sting of judgment. You are what you eat, meaning be careful what you put in your body because it will shape who you are. The phrase is meant to remind us to only engage in healthy behaviors, even if it also tends to insinuate that your value as a person stems from your discipline and how you restrain yourself, which I don't find to be that healthy of a notion. Either way, the straightforward sentiment of the idiom is this: eat poorly and you'll feel sluggish, eat well and you'll feel good. In our modern digital age, I think the idiom "you are what you eat" has taken on a new, unintended meaning. Because today, most of us don't define ourselves by what we eat, but by what we consume in another sense. Now, the diet in question is not made of bread and fruit, but of videos, feeds, and endless streams of digital noise. It is now digital media that dictates how we feel, how we think, and even how we see ourselves. We seem to exist in an endless loop of overconsumption and a desire to get back to our healthy habits of old. At every corner of the internet we find advice on how to escape that very thing the internet feeds us. There are mountains of content all urging us to log off and reclaim our time. Yet, even this advice gets delivered through the very medium it warns us against. Another loop in the infinite scroll, which also includes this video, I suppose. If you are what you eat has any merit in our digital age, I believe it tells us that if all you consume is mind-numbing content, how do you expect your brain to function to its best abilities? If you try to teach your body to run on empty calories, you'll soon find how you always desire more food, since nothing ever fills you up. The same is true when you only consume mindless and shallow content. Then you teach your brain to crave sedation rather than stimulation, distraction rather than thought. So maybe the saying, "you are what you eat," has changed over the years. Perhaps now we should call it, "you become how you consume."
This week at Sears, all fine jewelry is 40 to 50% off. Show her how bright the future really is. Give the good life at a great price, guaranteed. Sears.
I wish I could say I'm above it, but I'm not. I've gone to great lengths trying to escape the endless cycle of content consumption. For 3 years or so now, I've only carried a flip phone. I keep a sheet hanging in front of my TV to introduce some friction between me and the ease of turning it on. I have YouTube and Instagram blocked and grayscaled on my computer for most hours of the day. And I've never even allowed myself to touch TikTok because it's more or less designed to make us not stand a chance against its temptations. So I have all these clearly laid out rules for myself to make it as easy as possible not to fall into the trap of content consumption. And still, I return. Always, eventually, I return. Even with all these precautions, I find myself drifting back. There's always another screen, another loophole, another way back in. There comes a point when my body is exhausted and my mind is restless, so the easiest comfort is an artificial voice telling me, "Don't try so hard. It's fine. Just let me entertain you for a while and embrace the numbness of no thought of your own." It's soothing in the way anesthesia is soothing. The absence of sensation gets mistaken for a kind of peace. So this is the loop. A spark of inspiration gives me weeks where I'm free, where my limitations actually work and my desire to achieve my goals outweighs the comfort of a screen. I write more and better, I spend time with the people I love, I eat less junk, and I actually feel like my life is my own. However, these periods only last me so long. After a week or two or a month, a slight wavering in my stance sends me tumbling down the spiral of overconsumption, which leaves me deflated, wishing I was stronger, had more discipline, and that I wanted it more. Then I realize I've been here before, and I'll probably be here again, and I begin hating myself for never successfully escaping altogether. And I sadly suspect that you recognize yourself in this cycle as well.
Maybe we showed you how to make more time for your career and your family. Or maybe we showed you how to find the right daycare. Hi, I'm Monica Gale, and if you're a mom, a businesswoman, or both, like me, then my Working Women reports are designed just for you. They're stories, ideas that can make your life just a little easier. And that's something we can all use.
It's all too easy to pin all of this on the giant tech companies behind these platforms, and to be clear, they deserve plenty of the blame since they engineer their apps to exploit us. Every design choice is aimed at keeping you hooked, not because they want to improve your life through their content, but simply because your attention is the product they sell. And let's also not even dwell on the issue of AI, since AI may exacerbate the problem, but it's likewise not the cause of it. Either way, these companies are definitely not without blame for our struggles. However, I have realized that pointing fingers outward, while cathartic, is never enough. To rile yourself up and hate on the systems that be is justified, but is not enough to actually free yourself from the loop of content consumption. The ideals of our capitalistic structures won't change just because the masses get depressed by its effect, which is sad to say, but also true. If capitalism is the swamp and I continue devouring the content it produces, I'm still knee-deep in mud as I stand screaming for them to change. And I shouldn't keep waiting for society to fix itself before I decide to reclaim my life. Then I'd have to wait for the collapse of society, which is neither helpful nor productive to me right here and now. Any battle for personal freedom begins at the individual level, with even the tiniest act of resistance. And all of this leads me to a different way of viewing the idea of consumption. Not as something to avoid entirely, since that only tends to result in us falling back, but rather as something to redirect.
Hey, Princess, what you doing?
When I kiss this frog, he will turn into a handsome prince, and we will live happily ever after.
Wouldn't you rather have some Honey Nut Cheerios?
But he's a prince.
When I eat an apple, my body uses the calories in it to perform physical or mental tasks, to walk, to move, to think. What if digital media could function the same way? What if the point wasn't just to consume, but to convert the energy for your own benefit? As an example, about a week ago I watched a video essay by Ordinary Things whilst in a particularly hopeless mood about finding any solution to the problem of life, as if there actually is one. And instead of leaving me numb and comforted, as videos tend to do, it made me furious. Furious at my passivity and how easily I had slipped back into sedation. But my anger didn't go to waste, it became fuel. I installed more blockers, shut down my computer and stepped away. I quit digital media entirely for that week. And so, for a week, I felt lighter, sharper, more present. This was me redirecting the sustenance of the content and using it for my benefit. That, I realized, is the difference between consumption as sedation and consumption as creation. If I treat content as potential energy, I can harness it. My anger transformed into discipline, and that discipline became writing. The writing of the script for this video. That's the shift in our mindset I believe we need. Rather than reiterating the idea to stop consuming, which of course is true, we should be kinder to ourselves and instead consume with intent. Perhaps this is just what we refer to as inspiration, but it doesn't have to be as direct as that. Let the energy from the content pass through you. Appreciate your experience of what you're consuming, like when eating a delicious meal and savoring the flavors, but then allow it to spark an action, no matter how small. A reel about someone redecorating their office might finally push you to water the plant you've neglected. A video of fun facts about your favorite movie might inspire you to change your wallpaper. Or that spark could become a lot bigger and you end up making an art piece in a medium you haven't even tried out yet. What matters is not the particulars of your actions, nor the content itself that you're watching, but the choice to redirect its energy outward instead of swallowing you up. Later down the line, you'll be able to improve your diet and consume less and less vapid content and feel inclined to choose more substantial meals. Without this choice to direct your consumed energy, you'll more than likely just continue eating. And compared to devouring an entire bag of chips in one sitting, which probably leaves you bloated and sick, there's no end to the bag of content consumption. Digital media is the infinite bag of chips. You never reach the end, you never feel satiated. But you do wake up nauseous.
If you have a phone in your home, you can use it anytime. It's fun. Free with calling from Ameritech. Just pay when you use it. Click down, click. Just click down, click.
Creation, I believe, is a powerful antidote to all of this. When you make something, you become present in a way that mere consumption can't give you. Some might argue that making stuff is just another way of escaping the demands of reality, but I wholeheartedly disagree. To me, creating feels like the exact opposite. When I create, I don't leave myself behind. Rather, I meet myself head on. When I write, for instance, I'm not avoiding reality, I am building it instead of dissolving into someone else's. There's a profound difference between the hollow days of doom scrolling and the expansive presence of making something with your own hands or mind. One leaves you emptier than before, the other leaves you fuller. Not always ecstatic, not always satiated, but fuller. The first is an escape into absence, the second is a journey into presence. When I finish a day of mere consumption, I feel like I've lost something. On the other hand, when I finish a day of pure creation, I feel like I've gained everything. And that difference between emptiness and fullness is what makes creation so important. It's what drives me out of states of hopelessness. It's what reinforces my sense of self and a belief in reality. In creation, I find something pure. Life, I suppose.
Introducing New Every 2. We'll give you a new digital phone up to $100 value every 2 years for free, only from Verizon Wireless. Join in.
Escaping the world is not the same as escaping the self. When you consume endlessly, you escape yourself, and someone else profits from your disappearance from reality. When you create, however, you escape the noise of the world, but you remain present with yourself, and no one can capitalize on that but you. There are always greater systemic issues underlying what we try to achieve on a personal level, but you're capable of so much more than simply accepting defeat and lying down feeling weak and hopeless. You're free to fight back by creating a world of your own. You're free to fight back by making your reality a nicer environment to live in. You're free to fight back because you have what the system and algorithms lack: a will of your own. You are what you eat, or rather, as feels more applicable in our time, you become how you consume. So the choice is yours. Will you consume to disappear or consume to become? It's up to you. I've linked to a couple of worthwhile videos as a sort of further reading in the description, but I also suggest turning everything off for a while, since you've already watched all the way through this video. Let yourself use the energy to make something of your own. But that's just my advice, and like I said, it's up to you. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you in the next one.